Welcome to my knitting room. My name is Melissa, and this is Salt, and this is Peppa, just in case you were wondering. Welcome to my knitting room. This is the Stitches Be Slippin podcast YouTube channel. This is mainly a podcast about knitting, but also some other crafts like crochet, cross stitch, sometimes needle punch. I did needle punch that one. Just various things because I have ADHD and I get distracted very easily, and so you never know what I'm going to come up with. Today is all knitting. I don't have actually a lot of knitting content because one of my whips is a giant whip, and I have no FOs today, but I do have some whips to talk about. I do have some knitting planning to talk about, and I have a few acquisitions to show you. I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of knitting content today, so I asked a few days ago on Instagram if anyone had any questions for me. So I will be doing that later. Towards the end of the video, I will answer some of your burning questions. Yeah, did I say? Yes, I said Stitches Be Slippin podcast. I am also Stitches Be Slippin on Instagram if you want to go over there and give me a follow. And yeah, so generally, welcome if you're new here. I had one of a very large Instagram knitting personality, knitwear designer. Her name is Helen Stewart. She is Curious Handmade on Instagram. Recently shared a photo of this habitation throw when I was knitting it. She recently shared it as a post to her grid, and so I have lots and lots of new followers now. So if you're one of those new followers, hi, welcome. I did post I posted a thing on my grid with a Meet the Maker, just introducing myself and all of the things, kind of giving you a disclaimer sort of on what you're gonna find in my little corner of Instagram, so you can go check that out. Basically, it's a lot of just treat others as you want to be treated, be kind to people, all rights are human rights, trans rights, Black Lives Matter, every child matters, stop Asian hate, free Palestine, stop anti-Semitism, stop Islamophobia, all that. It's all there. So you can go read that if you like. If you don't agree with those things, please just see yourself out. I don't tolerate hate in any form, so this may not be the place for you if you do. Anyway, thank you very much to Helen Stewart for sharing my photo. I have had many new followers on Instagram, so that was a nice little bonus. I made this habitation throw that is a Helen Stewart pattern. That's why she shared it. I made it, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago now, with an advent, and I held it together with mohair. And at the time I thought that was the world's most expensive blanket, and then I started knitting this blanket that I'm working on, and that is quickly overcoming this one. We'll talk about that in a bit. Anyway, generally on my videos, I give a little bit of a life update, and then I go into knitting and stuff. So I will put a little thing down here to tell you what to skip to if you don't want to hear about my life. But if you do, hi, welcome. Thank you for being a friend. That's the Golden Girls right there. You can't really see them from the glare, but that's the Golden Girls. They're my favorite. Yeah, so I have a few notes about things have been busy, exciting. I just got home this morning was busy. I went to drop off my kids at school. Today is a Friday. They get dismissed early on Fridays, so they call it Fast Friday. I call it Not Fast Enough Friday, or Too Fast Friday, I should say. Way too fast. They start school at 9, they get out at 1:30 on Fridays. So trying to jam all this in today. And then I had to come home and get something and go back to school to drop it off. My older son has a science fair on Monday, and they're practicing their presentations, and he forgot something very key to practice his presentation at home today. So I had to quickly run and drop that back off. I had to go run another errand. I was going to pick up a dress that I'm having altered. My husband and I are going to a fancy formal gala tomorrow night, and I was having a dress altered. And I would show it to you, but it's still at the alterations. I needed to do one more little adjustment. But it was really nice when I was standing there. Like the lady is taking in a little thing on the side, and another woman came in to pick up her dry cleaning from this place, and she looked at me and she said, "Wow, you're stunning." And I was like, "Oh wow." That's so nice. It really does make your day when somebody says something nice to you. So remember that and be kind and compliment people when you see something you like. It sticks with them for a really long time. Anyway, yeah, so that's been a busy morning, and we've been having a lot of hockey. My older son is in hockey playoffs at the moment, city playoffs. So in Calgary, which is where I live, I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. In Calgary, the hockey zones, there's a bunch of different associations in North Calgary, and there's a bunch of different associations in South Calgary, and we're in South Calgary. So we're in the playoffs for who's going to win the South Calgary championship. And my son is going to the finals on Sunday. So everybody send good luck and good wishes and lots of goal scoring juju vibes. And then if they win that, then they go to city championships, which is the winner of the South versus the winner of the North. So this is very exciting. Last year, his team barely won any games. So we're on a bit of a high this year. It's been very fun and exciting. And all the kids are great. He has really, really fun, really great kids on his team. My husband is the coach, so he is very stressed out at the moment. But he's very proud of how they've played. Anyway, you don't care about that. We went to the Harlem Globetrotters were in town last weekend. That was really fun. My kids loved it. My boys are 9 and 11, and it blew their minds. Every time they would like run one of their little trick play thingies, they were just like, they absolutely loved it. It was, I've never seen another Harlem Globetrotters performance. I think it has certainly evolved and is now more of a little bit of like a circus performance. And it's definitely geared towards kids. So, which is fine. That was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite fun, but yeah, it is what it is. I just feel bad for the Washington Generals, which is the team that the Globetrotters play against, because like I think they're all pretty phenomenal basketball players, and they have to just like stand there and like pretend to block as everyone's going around them, and I feel bad for them. But there was one woman on the Washington Generals team that was just like draining threes just nonstop, and I was like, oh, I hope you're getting paid really well for this, because you should be on a like really amazing, I don't know, maybe she's not good enough for a WNBA team, but I felt bad for them anyway. But I'm pretty sure they get paid well for it. Anyway, we're coming up on, I think it's about a month until we move into our new house, or get possession of our new house. The timing is not the greatest. We are leaving next week to go on holidays to Colombia for spring break. So we're going to be gone for about a week and a half. And then once we get home, I think it's 2 weeks until like we give up possession, get possession, etc. So we've been trying to like pick out paint and pick out carpet and flooring and that kind of stuff. We got a paint quote last week, and it was astronomical, and I was pretty sure that my husband was going to shit his pants. So we're working on getting some more quotes, some more reasonable quotes that are like within this universe. Yeah, anyway, so we're working on that. Once we get back, I think it's 2 weeks until we give up. We give up possession of the house on a Monday, so our movers are coming on the Sunday to move everything out, but we don't get possession of the new house until the Thursday. And then once we get possession of the new house, we're doing painting and flooring and stuff before we move in, because as you know, if you don't do that before all your shit is in there, you're not ever going to do it. So we're going to be living at my mother-in-law's house for probably a few weeks in between giving up possession of our new house and our old house, of this house, and then the new house being ready. So, which is lovely. I love my mother-in-law. She's great. She's not going to be there. She's going to be out at her cabin. So, it would have been fine if she was there, because she's great and everyone gets along really well. It will definitely be easier without her there, because it won't feel like we're imposing on her and taking over her house and taking over her kitchen and all that kind of stuff. So that's really nice. We don't have to like pay for a hotel or get an Airbnb or something, so that's great. It is significantly farther away from everything. It is in a different quadrant of the city, so we're going to be getting up a lot earlier and having a lot longer drives back and forth to school and work and things like that, but it will be temporary and it will be worth it once we get into our new house. Yeah, if you're looking for an update on my hands, they're not doing that great, but I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer about it. It is what it is. If you're new here, I am waiting to get into a rheumatologist to get an official diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. It's been coming on since before Christmas, and it got really bad a few months ago, and I got a stress dose of steroids, and that cleared it right up. And now it's quite rapidly coming back. But yeah, middle age is weird. Like, I'm 45, I have arthritis, I take like 7 pills in the morning or something. It is like, I have ADHD, so I'm taking my ADHD meds, I'm on like a taper dose of steroids, so I'm taking those in the morning, I'm taking painkillers in the morning because my hands just kill in the mornings. But I also have acne. Like, I've had acne my whole life. I'm 45 years old, I mean, I know there's adult acne, people have acne for their whole lives, but like, you shouldn't be allowed to have arthritis and acne at the same time. Like, if you should only be allowed to have one, because 2, it just doesn't seem fair. You know, it's like when I had my boys and I was breastfeeding, and then I was done. Like, when I was breastfeeding, these girls, they got like real good, decent size. Like, I don't really have much here. I wear padded bras to make it look like I've got something going on up here, but there's really not much going there. And when I was breastfeeding, they were like, yeah, this is the size, this is the ideal size. And then they stopped breastfeeding and like a deflated balloon. So I was like, that's not fair either. Like, if I have to go through all this shit, like be pregnant and have these kids attached to my boobs for so long, like, I should be allowed to keep them. Anyway, things are unfair. I don't know if I was planning on talking about my boobs today, but there you go. You never know what you're gonna get on this podcast. I have no filter. Like I said, have ADHD. My impulse control is little to none, so I have no filter on what comes out of my mouth. I also have lack of impulse control when I see things I like and want to buy, which sucks when you work in a yarn store. I didn't mention that yet. I work as a yarn dyer at Polka Dot Creek in Airdrie. Yeah, when you work at a yarn store, it's very difficult when you have no impulse control whatsoever. Sometimes I come home with giant piles of yarn. But whatever. That's why I'm working there. I'm working there for spending money. Like, I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I don't have to work to support my family. My husband has an amazing job that that does that for us, and I was just, I don't know where I was going with that. It's just nice to have a paycheck to pay for all the yarn I buy instead of just going farther into the hole buying the yarn. Anyway, I talked on my last episode about sometimes buying yarn brings me joy, and in the world that we live in, sometimes that's just what we need. We need to bring ourselves a little joy. So anyway, I'm gonna have a sip and then I'm gonna talk about some knitting. Protect trans kids. Okay, so what I'm wearing today, we'll start off with. I'm wearing Salt and Pepper, obviously. This is my Winter's Beach cardigan by Andrea Mallory, who is Drea Renee Knits on Instagram. I'm sure you've heard of her. I knit this not that long ago, within the last 6 months to a year, I would think. And I think it is quite possibly one of the most beautiful things that I've ever knit. And it surprisingly didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. Like, it looks very intricate, but when I was making it, I learned how to cable without a cable needle, and that was a massive game changer. I did not use a single cable needle for this whole entire cardigan. Makes it go way faster. And if you're scared of it, don't be scared. It's very, very, very easy and makes your life way easier. Anyway, this is my Winter's Beach cardigan. She's got a little peekaboo of some hot pink Surrey in there, because why not, right? So it is a very thoughtful design. From the ribbing isn't all 1x1 or 2x2. So it's designed so that when you get here and you start cabling, like, the ribbing goes up into the cabling. And this is an afterthought pocket, which, well, it's not really afterthought. You plan it ahead of time. I can't remember how I did it. Anyway, oh, so you want to see the, I'm very close to my phone, what's recording here, so. I don't know if you can see that or just my ass, but if it was just my ass, you're welcome. Yeah, I made this with Polka Dot Creek DK Tweed in sort of a one-of-a-kind colorway, but if you're looking for something like it, it's sort of like oatmeal. It's just a little bit lighter than oatmeal. It's actually just a little bit darker than the natural DK Tweed. I can't remember how, I think oatmeal is made like by doing a less saturated version of our sand colorway. And I just used even less dye than oatmeal to dye this color. So it's just lightly beige. Anyway, I highly recommend it. It looks very difficult, but I didn't find it that bad. I don't know if you can see this little stitch marker sticking up here. That after I finished it and blocked it, I noticed that I had dropped a stitch up there, maybe when I was doing the 3-needle bind off up here or something, I'm not sure. But I just have never gone back to fix it. It just lives like that. My hair covers it, nobody ever notices it. So now you know my little secret. Okay, like I said, I don't have any FOs. I have been knitting a lot, but I haven't finished anything. Well, I sort of finished something, but then I ripped it out because I didn't like it. So I'll maybe start with that one. Last time I showed you, I was using this yarn. This is, oh, I never noticed that before. So apparently that says Walcott yarns. I didn't even notice that before. So this is Walcott yarns and their origin base, which is 50% Argentinian merino, 50% fine Highland wool. And it's a worsted weight, and it's the colorway is called Ponderosa. And I got this from Les Garçons in Montreal, and they were having I think it was 30% off sale. I just was interested to see what it was like. I have this wound up in a very tight ball because I ripped out what I was making with it previously. I was trying to make a muscle bra with it by Isolde Teague, and it's worsted weight, and I A, got bored, and B, was pretty sure that once I made the whole bean shaped structure that you make when you make a muscle bra, and once I folded it in on itself to double it and then folded up the brim so then the brim was quadruple, I was pretty sure it was going to be way too thick for my taste. So I ripped it back. So it is very, very beautiful squishy yarn. It's just not very squishy right now because when I unraveled it, when I frogged it, I wound it up a little too tight, but that's okay. So I don't know why I'm on, I only have one skate of this, probably that's why. I'm on a hat. I want to make a hat with it. I've seen lots of people wearing hats made in this kind of color, and I really like it, so I wanted one for myself. So I have restarted. I just started it yesterday. I just cast on yesterday, so I've just been working on some ribbing. But I am making the Jason's Cashmere hat by Melissa Thompson. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and as always, I will put down in my notes below, I will put down all the patterns, designers, makers, dyers, blah, 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 etc. All that will be down below in my show notes. So I'll put a link to this pattern down there. It's a free pattern. Well, it's on Ravelry, but then when you click on this is a free download, it takes you to her website. She is the dyer behind, what's it called? Sweet Fiber, I think it is, in BC, in Vancouver, I think, or Victoria, I can't remember. Anyway, it's a free pattern. It's, I'll put a picture up here of what it looks like. It's just a nice, basic kind of cabled hat. So, yeah, I think that'll be nice in this color. So that is that. That is living in this amazing bag from Creek Gardens Crafts. Creek Gardens Crafts is Penny, who is the mom of Shelly, who owns Polka Dot Creek. So you can find lots of her bags in the Polka Dot Creek shop. I don't know if they have all of them on the website, but there's lots and lots in store if you're anywhere near local. I just love this color palette, the neon green and the pinks and the purple, and then there's neon green polka dots on the inside. Oh man, I love it. I really love, her kind of staple go-to design is like this bag with just the drawstring. And then she started adding handles, and I really love having the handles. It makes it a little bit more on the go, because I take my knitting with me everywhere and get some weird looks, that's for sure, but I think you're all familiar with how that goes. Sorry, I'm a little thirsty today. Okay, I'm gonna talk about my second whip, which you guys haven't seen yet. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. I've posted a few things about it. I posted two things, I think, on my grid, and then some stuff in my stories. But you've seen this yarn before. I had started making a clove sweater with it, and it wasn't, like, it was beautiful. The yarn color combination was beautiful, but it wasn't feeling special enough for this yarn, so I ripped it out, and some friends of mine, some long-term Instagram knitting friends of mine, Brittany, who is XOXB Stitches, I'll put her handle down here, and Tara Lynn, who is Playful Day Yarns, I'll put her handle down here, and I'll put a link to Tara Lynn's website. She is a yarn dyer, beautiful, beautiful yarn dyer. They're hosting a sweater weather knit along right now, and Tara Lynn and Brittany and another long-term Instagram friend of mine who is Sarah, she is Sarah D Crochet, I'll put her down here. She is a really amazing, like incredibly talented crochet amigurumi designer. I'll put her links down below too. Anyway, all three of them are making the same sweater. It's called the front porch sweater. I'll put a picture of it up here. The design is by Kevin Haggerty, who is Pearl Jam on Instagram. And I'll put his handle here. It's a little bit, it's Pearl as in knit and pearl, and then underscore and jam. Anyway, they were all making the same sweater, and they were all posting pictures of their luscious cables, swatches, and stuff like that. And I was like, I think that is what this yarn needs to be. So I joined the Cal, and I ripped out I just had like sort of some of the back panel done of the clove sweater, and so this is my yarn that I'm using. This was one of those days that I brought a giant pile of yarn home from work, because it happens sometimes. So this is Polka Dot Creek fingering weight in the colorway pistachio. And this is Polka Dot Creek, oh, I have a whole skein of it over there. This is our Surrey lace base, which is, I don't remember, it's like the standard Surrey, I can't remember. You go to the Polka Dot Creek website, that link will be down below, and see what the base is if you want. They were, one of the days that they were dyeing that I wasn't there, they had some leftover yarn and couldn't bring themselves to throw it out, not yarn, they had some leftover dye. And they thought it would be really beautiful on Surrey. So they popped some skeins of Surrey in a tray and put that on. And I came to work the next day and I said, I have to have that. So I brought that home, and I'm holding it together with pistachio. And here is how it's going. I've finished the body. Okay, look at that drape. So I'm just working on the collar right now, because I'm avoiding knitting sleeves. If you've been here long enough, you will know that I fucking hate knitting sleeves. Let's just put it out there. I know a lot of you out there are in the same boat. Yeah, the sleeves are fully, like, they're cabled and ribbed and stuff just like this. Which is fine. Like, it's not that hard. You only do a cable row every 8 rows. And like, it's not hard. I don't know why I hate knitting sleeves, but I just do. So anyway, it's looking really beautiful. When I finished the body, or when I thought I had finished the body, oh, let me show you the back, sorry, before I get into that. There's a really nice, like, shoulder detail, sort of like on the stick season sweater that I made for my husband. I showed it on my last episode. There's a really nice detail on each shoulder. So anyway, what was I was gonna talk about something before I talked about that. Oh yeah, when I finished the body of this, like, you know how ribbing like sucks everything in, and cables suck everything in, right? So I had got it to where I was pretty sure I was done the body. Like, it was still a little short, and it was like very but when I tried to like stretch it out on my needles to where it would block out, I thought it was the right place. So I finished the body, I bound it off, and I was like, I'm gonna wet block this before I keep going to know if this is right. So I did. I'll put a picture up here. I have a before and after blocking, before blocking and after blocking, and it made a massive difference. So it worked. Sometimes you just don't know until you block it. And I know lots of people who actually block their sweaters like repeatedly as they're making it, because blocking makes such a huge difference, and it really is kind of a bit of a gamble, especially when you don't gauge swatch. Yeah, I didn't gauge swatch for this one, but like I've said before, I'm very comfortable with my gauge. Like, I know I generally know what size of gauge I'm gonna get with what yarn combination on what needle. Like I'm pretty, and I'm also not super picky about, I mean, I don't want it to be giant and I don't want it to be super tight, but like anywhere in the middle I'm fine with. So I know you're supposed to swatch, and it's bad that you don't swatch, but it is what it is. I would like it to be on the record that I did swatch for my husband's stick season sweater, because, well, it was in like a texture pattern, like the sticks on the top were like a broken rib, I think, or just like seed stitch maybe, I can't remember. And I hadn't really done a large section of that in a sweater before. I didn't know how it was gonna, so I did swatch for that. So there, you know, I did. Anyway, I really love how this is working out. This is not a typical color for me to knit with, but I think it looks very, very beautiful. The pistachio, the fingering weight that I'm holding it with, the dye that we use, like sometimes pistachio, it depends on what mood the pistachio is in, and like maybe the pH of the water that day or something. Sometimes it has little parts. I don't think you can see it. You can't see it. Anyway, there's like little kind of slimy, maybe you can see that there. Nah, I don't know. Like kind of like just odd speckles where the dye just breaks, even if you're not speckling it. When you're like kettle dyeing it in a pot, sometimes just if there's like a little clump of dye in there or something that didn't, and it breaks. So it sort of looks like it's extremely lightly speckled, but I really, really love it. It's sort of like a slimy, pukey green speckle. Anyway, that sounds bad. It's beautiful and I love it. I wonder if you can see it in here. Nope. Anyway, that is my front porch sweater, and that is living in my Fringe Supply Company bag. You can't buy these bags from Fringe Supply Company anymore. They don't make them anymore, but you can buy the pattern and you can buy a kit to make it yourself from Grainline Studio. I'll put that link down below. It has a little notions ring on here from Ocean Loops, who is Lolly. She is a local stitch marker notions maker, and this is so beautiful. Yeah, so that is that. I have one last whip, and it's a big one. So I showed last time that I had started working on my Sweet Shop blanket with our Polka Dot Creek blanket club. So if you don't know what that is, we're doing a blanket club where you get 9, 10 gram skeins a month. We sell them in quarters, so you get 3 months at a time. And they're all in a color scheme. So January was pink, February was red, March is orange, and so it's going like in rainbow order, which is beautiful. So I wasn't gonna do it, and then I decided I was gonna do it. I'm doing a different pattern than the blanket club was kind of had in mind. You can make whatever you want with it, it's your yarn. Most people are making the Stitch in Time by Kay Jones, which I'll put a link down below. But I decided to make the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, and I will also put a link to that down below. I need to have another drink. Okay, so I have zero chill when it comes to this blanket. I'm almost done May. I only have one more square to do for May, and then I'm going to be starting on June. Yeah, and I brought home the Q3 yarn from work yesterday, so it's my yarn. I can do whatever I want with it. I don't have to knit the colors in the months they're meant for. So I'm going to show you it. It's not really a spoiler because all the colors are on the Polka Dot Creep website. Everyone has seen up to June. So anyway, yes. And I'm really bummed. I took a video, I've posted 2 reels so far. I posted a reel of my January stripe and I posted a reel of my February stripe. And I took a video on my phone of the March stripe before I started April, but it has disappeared from my phone. So that is kind of messing with my plans for posting a reel of every stripe for the whole thing. So that kind of sucks, but I did do the April one before I started May, and it is still on my phone. So let me get my poop in a group here. Okay, this is very difficult to show, so, and I'm really close to the camera. So this is the pink. And then, so the top row is the pink for January. This row is the red for February, that second row there. Third row is orange, orange adjacent. And then the fourth row for March, April was like, what do we call it? Peach, I think. So it's kind of like an in-between between orange and yellow. We did some peaches, and that's really pretty. And now May is the yellow stripe. And I just have one last one to go on that corner there, and then I will start June. So yeah, she's big. She was getting so big, I was telling you guys last time I showed this that I needed a bigger project bag because it was growing, it outgrew my project bag really quickly. And Penny, Creek Gardens Crafts, made me a large, like blanket size bag. So that was very nice of her. Thank you, Penny. It's beautiful. I really love this fabric, and it is a giant project bag, that's for sure. However, I have already outgrown that. She gave it to me and it lasted about a week, and I added a bunch more squares, and it got a little too big from then to then. So I had to buy a basket. She's a little misshapen at the moment. She needs a little, anyway. These are from Big Blue Mama, and I'll put a link down below. These are beautiful hand-woven baskets. They're hand-woven in Ghana, and the woman who runs Big Blue Mama imports them. And it's a fair trade company, and I'm just looking at the tag that it came with here. Your purchase has helped the people of Bolga Tanga in Ghana as they work to sustain a handcraft that has been part of this region for hundreds of years. So it is so beautiful. I love the colors in it. And she's nice and big, and my blanket fits in there really nice. Like, there's lots of room for it now, but it's not even half done yet. I have one more stripe to do, and then it's half done. So it's gonna take up this whole blanket by the time I'm done. But I keep in here, I might transfer to a smaller bag now that I've moved my blanket out, but I keep my wound 10 grams in my little Barbie bag. This is also from Creek Gardens Crafts. And I only have one left because I only have one square left, but once I wind all 9 of them and I lay out my blanket and line up where I want them, take a picture, and then I put them in here so they're not like floating around my giant bag or my basket or whatever, so it doesn't make a giant mess. So I keep those in there. Oh yeah, like I said, when I made this, I thought it was the most expensive blanket that has ever been made. But I'm pretty sure this one is gonna be well, I know, it's way more. I did some calculations, some math, if you will. And I'm pretty sure once this blanket is done, it will be equal to 22 skeins of yarn. Yeah, so thankfully I'm not buying all of that yarn. I am buying all of the colors from the Blanket Club. And in the Q1 kit, if you buy the Q1 kit, you get 2 skeins of the natural yarn, which is enough to do the borders and stuff on the Stitch in Time blanket. But 2 skeins of the natural yarn was only enough for 2 rows plus 2 squares of this, because this blanket is DK weight, so I am holding all my yarn double, which is perfect for the colors, the Blanket Club colors, because they're 10 grams, and I usually have about this much yarn left after the end of each block, so it's perfect. Oh, I forgot to bring my little ends jar down here. I'm putting the little ends in a little jar in order, so it's gonna be like a rainbow of my little ends when I'm done. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, everything about this blanket is just bringing me so much joy. Anyway, so for the natural, Shelly's been letting me use some cone ends. We get like 1,000-gram cones from our mill to warp for self-striping. And then once they get down to a certain amount of yarn left on them, there's not enough to warp a skein of self-striping, then they just throw it in a basket, but there's still a decent amount, like maybe 30 or 40 grams of yarn left on it. So she's been letting me take those home from work because there's not really much else they can do with them. We don't make our own minis. That would just take forever. We order minis that have already been made. So anyway, thank you so much to Shelly for letting me do that. That is just a temporary thing. I'm not going to be stealing all of that yarn from work for my entire blanket. That would just be way too much. I do have a bunch of undyed yarn that is in storage right now because, as I said, we're moving and I had to clean out a bunch of stuff out of my closet, and all of my undyed yarn is in storage. So I do have a bunch that I will have access to next month. But for now, Shelly is kindly allowing me to use cone ends. Okay, that is all for my whips. That was all my whips. I had no FOs. Oh, I forgot to show you. This is June. This is going to be the next color. So all greens for June. Some beautiful greens in there. I love it. Okay, I do have some more of those to show you, but I will show them in my acquisitions. And I will put some spoiler alert up there because I don't think anyone has seen it yet, but I will, like, major spoiler alert and then show them. Hopefully Shelly won't be mad at me for showing them. Okay, so as I said, we're leaving next week for Colombia, and we're going there for spring break. Both of my kids are in Spanish bilingual school. I speak Spanish and my husband speaks Spanish. I learned Spanish, I don't know if we want to go all the way into that story, but I majored in Spanish in university. So when I graduated from university, I was fluent in Spanish, and that has been a few years. I'm 45, you do the math. So my Spanish is quite rusty now, but my husband has been taking Spanish lessons for quite a few years, and my kids are both in Spanish school. So we, whenever we go on holidays, we try to go to Spanish-speaking countries so that we can practice our Spanish and the boys can practice their Spanish. So I expect us to be speaking a lot of Spanish when we go to Colombia, because, you know, when you go to Mexico and you go to a resort, like, everyone speaks English. But I'm sure there will be lots of people that speak English in Colombia too, but probably not as many. So I am hoping that we'll be practicing our Spanish some more. But anyway, we're going to be gone for 10 days. We're going to Colombia for a week, and then on our way home, we're stopping in Toronto for a few days. So I am planning my vacation knitting. I don't think I'm going to take that my front porch sweater with me. I don't think I'm not gonna have those sleeves, and it won't be done by the time we leave. But it's gonna be hot as hell down there. Like, I think it's just basically like 33 degrees every day, Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, like 48 million, I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's gonna be hot, and my hands are gonna be sweaty, and I'm not gonna be wanting to knit with Surrey at that particular juncture. So I'm planning my trip, my vacation knitting. We're only April, May, June, 3 months away from the end of the school year. So I'm thinking about teacher gifts. I usually knit something, excuse me, for teachers at Christmas and at the end of the year. We've been really, really lucky. Our kids have had amazing teachers every single year. One of the teachers we have this year, my younger son has this year. He has her for grade 4 this year. My older son had her for grade 4 last year. And my older son had her for kindergarten. So she is basically like a part of our family now. And we're really sad, actually, that this is the last year we're gonna have her. But I've made her numerous knitted items over the years. I made her some cowls, some scarves, and she always wears them. Our kids were doing swimming lessons with school, and I was volunteering, and she was wearing a cowl that I made her. At Christmas time, we went for the kids' Christmas concert, and she was wearing a shawl that I made her as part of her like dress up outfit. It was so nice. She is very, very knit worthy. So I think her favorite color is purple, like light purple. And so I think for the end of the year, I'm going to make her a Sophie shawl with this. This is fingering weight from Polka Dot Creek in the color Lilac Bush. So I'm gonna, I think, hold it double and just make her a Sophie scarf with this. I've made her lots of shawls. I've made her, I don't know, cowls, mittens. I think I've made her a hat. I can't remember. So I know I haven't made her a Sophie shawl, and or a scarf. I think they're very versatile. I already own the pattern. I've owned the pattern for many years before I knew that Petite Knit was maybe not the best person to buy patterns from. But I already own it, so I might as well keep using it. So I think that will be pretty. I think she will really like it. She loves purple, so I think that will be for her. And then I think for my older son's teacher, I'm going to make her a cross stitch. I made a cross stitch for both of my kids' teachers last year that has like crayons and the teacher's name on it. I'll put a picture up here of what they looked like last year. So I think I'm gonna make that for my older son's teacher this year because she doesn't have one yet. Obviously my younger son's teacher has one because my older son had her last year. So I already made her one of those. So yeah, I think that will probably, this won't take that long. I'll probably be able to do this whole thing while we're gone. And I'm not sure if I think I'll take the cross stitch with me because that's easy, portable. And my husband can help me and my kids can help me. My husband and both my kids helped with the cross stitches we made for the teachers last year, which is great. Because it doesn't get much easier than just making little X's. So they can help me. Yeah, so I have those two things planned, and I haven't decided yet what else I'm gonna bring because I don't think that's going to be enough. I have a few ideas rattling around in my head. I mean, it will probably just be a skein of yarn to, I'm just looking at my yarn cube over there. If you're wondering why I'm not looking at you. It'll probably be a skein of fingering weight for a muscle bra. I really, really, really love the one that I made with the Polka Dot Creek yarn, our fingering weight base, because it's really, really light. Our fingering weight base is quite light. It's 463 yards, I think. So it ended up really nice and long because there's lots and lots of yardage. And because it's so light, when you fold it over and over. Like you double it when you put it inside itself, and then you like quadruple it basically when you're fold over the brim, because the yarn is so nice and light. It's not like super bulky. I've tried making a few other muscle bras with not the same base that have less yardage, so the yarn is a little thicker, and I don't really enjoy those as much, so I think I might. I have a few skeins that are possibilities. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. So I'll probably bring a skein for a muscle bra, and that's really nice and light and portable, and like, yeah, I could walk around the city knitting it, and it's not going to take up a giant space because I'm pretty sure I have to fly carry on because that's what my husband loves to do. Anyway, yeah, those are my plans. So if you have any suggestions for fun things to knit on vacation, hit me up. Okay, so for acquisitions, I showed you my blanket bag that Penny made me. Thank you very much, Penny. And I showed you my basket that I bought from, Penny is the one who sources and supplies the baskets. I didn't say this. They are available in the Polka Dot Creek shop. They're not available online because they're very difficult to ship. But if you're local and you're looking for baskets, we have lots of them in the store, and Penny is the one who sells them. And I showed you, oh no, I didn't show you this. So I brought home my Q3 blanket club yarn yesterday. Now this, I don't think anyone has seen this. I might have to edit this out. I'm probably gonna have to text Shelly and see if it's okay that I show it. I might just have to edit part of this out. So if I stop talking now and move on to something else, then you'll know that I have not been given permission to show this on the internet yet. But it is absolutely gorgeous. So Q3 is July, August, and September. Okay, so June was green. Okay, I'm gonna give my spoiler alert here. I'm gonna write down right here, skip to this time if you don't want to see Q3 of the blanket club. Okay, here's July. So we're moving from green through the rainbow. So it's Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So we were just on green and we're moving towards blue. So this is kind of our in-between green and blue. This is sort of like our aqua teal-y kind of color palette. It is gorgeous. I love it so much. So that's July, and then August is blue. And there's some really gorgeous blues in there. And then, so from blue, you go to purple. Bam! Holy shitballs. Look at that. Oh, I cannot wait to knit this one. Oh, it's so good. September, these September colors are actually how Blanket Club got started. Last year, we were at work and something pinged in Shelly's brain, and she just started pulling a whole bunch of purples and putting them all together and was like, wouldn't it be neat if we did like a color palette every month for something? And then that just started the gears going, and we ended up on Blanket Club. So we made these last year. Just the idea struck and we made them. So we've had September done for quite a long time. But then there was a lot of interest in Blanket Club and a lot of people buying them. And so we had to dye more, and she changed a few of the colors. So this is the original version. We have a bunch of those, but then we have a whole bunch of new ones, and they're all just as beautiful, just a little bit different. So all purples and beautiful and gorgeous. So here's June, July, August, September. Oh, holy crap. We're so good at what we do, right? Anyway, it's gonna be beautiful. Okay, you can start watching again. I've put down all the secret yarn. I think that was all I had to talk about for acquisitions and knitting and all that kind of stuff. So I am going to answer the questions that I got on Instagram now, and then I am going to sign off. I didn't mention this before, but you're welcome for me podcasting today, because the Eras tour came out on Disney Plus last night, and I haven't watched it yet, and I really wanted to watch it for like all morning today, but I was like, nope, I said I was gonna podcast. So that is what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of the day. That is for sure. I don't know how I got onto that. Sometimes the neurons are just like ping, 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 ping. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna answer some questions. Well, that's probably what it was. I'm gonna answer some questions, and then I'm gonna sign off, and I'm gonna edit this, and I'm gonna watch Taylor Swift at the same time. And then I'm gonna go pick up my kids, because it's already almost time to go pick them up. Too Fast Friday. Okay, so my first question was from my friend Sheena, who is This Girl Knits on Instagram. She is in Toronto, and I am really, really hoping that when we spend a few days in Toronto on our way home from Columbia, that I might be able to get together with her and go to a yarn shop or two. Depends on what we are doing when we're in Toronto. It is still our family time, family vacation, etc. I don't particularly want to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, so if I can manage to weasel myself out of that and go to yarn stores with Sheena at the same time, that would be fantastic. Anyway, Sheena asked me, do you plan your knitting in advance? What's the next project you're excited about? I absolutely do not plan my knitting in advance. And I'm shocked that you asked me that, to be totally honest, because as I mentioned before, I have zero impulse control, and I'm not good at planning things in advance. I don't have a lot of forward thinking. I'm very much an in the now kind of person. And like I have lots of, I don't know, lists, not really lists. I'm not a proficient user of Ravelry. I don't like favorite things and have things in my queue and stuff. Not at all. But whenever I see something I like on Instagram, I save it. That's kind of my system of like, if I've finished a project and I'm not sure what I'm gonna work on next, then I kind of go through those pictures and see what I liked and get an idea. Yeah, I don't plan ahead. Nope. The next project you're excited about, I don't know because I don't plan ahead, but I am very excited about finishing this Sweet Shop blanket because it is going to be absolutely incredible, I think, when it's done. So thank you, Sheena. Donna asked me, do you have a pile of abandoned whips? None of your business, Donna. That is a very personal question. So, but yes, I do. I have a basket, another Big Blue Mama basket right over there that has my Pink Fizz in it. It has my Pressed Flowers cardigan in it. It has something else in there that I don't even remember what it is. So yes, I do. I'm actually contemplating, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna frog that Pressed Flowers cardigan because it is not bringing me any joy. Like, it's beautiful, but I do not want to knit it at all. Sometimes I sit down and I'm like, I should really start knitting on this. I should get it going because I'm gonna love it, and I just can't. So I might just frog that and repurpose the yarn for something else. Anyway, Megan from Wool and Cottonwoods, she is the Hey Mom podcast on YouTube. On her channel is called Wool and Cottonwoods. She said, have fun and enjoy your time in Columbia. Thanks, Megan. That wasn't a question though, so. Just kidding. Thank you. Jeanette asked me, yarn dyeing has always interested me. How would you suggest somebody start? And that's a good question. I know it can seem really daunting and complicated, but it's really not. You can get undyed yarn from lots of places. Knit Picks is a really great place to start. They have lots of different bases that you can buy of undyed yarn. And then just get yourself some dye. I recommend Jacquard dye. I recommend, oh shit, what's the other one called? Dharma. Those are the ones we mostly use at work. There's a lot, lots of yarn stores I know stash used to, I'm pretty sure they still do, have like tiny little sample bottles of acid dyes, so that you can kind of like experiment and figure out what colors they are. So yeah, look into getting yourself some dyes, get a few colors, and then you're gonna need an acid of some sort, because the acid helps the dye adhere to the fibers. I'm only talking about mainly wool. Like if your base is merino or some type of wool, some type of animal fiber. Cotton is a whole other, like plant fibers, cotton, linen, all that, that's a whole nother ball game. I'm not talking about that. So if you want to start dyeing like just regular, like superwash, merino nylon is like the most common. Get yourself some of that, get some dye. We mostly use vinegar at work, so you're gonna wanna just soak your yarn first. You don't have to soak it forever and ever. There's lots of places I've seen, lots of videos I've seen where you like have to soak it for 24 hours and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. Soak it until it's, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word that I'm looking for that I can't find in my brain right now. So that it's completely wet. And then, but soak it in hot water mixed with vinegar. Like, I don't know, a cup or 2 cups, depending on how much you're gonna use, how much dye, how much yarn you're gonna make. You can't go wrong, like you can't put too much vinegar in, so like err on the side of too much rather than too little, because that is what helps the dye set and adhere to the fibers. So soak it first, and then I would suggest starting out with solid colors. So you're gonna mix your dye. I would, like we use little measuring spoons. Lots of dyers weigh their dye so that they're exactly the same amount of dye to get like consistent color all the way across. But if you're just starting out, just use like a little, it's like 1/8 of a teaspoon, I think is the smallest one that you can get. So just use that. And then you can put some vinegar in. We use milk jugs. We use like 4-liter milk jugs, but that's for like a lot. That's for a lot. So you can just use, use a 4-liter milk jug. We use a 4-liter milk jug for a pot that has like 2 full skeins of yarn, like 200 grams of yarn. So you could do that. And then you can just kind of experiment. You can put like 1 tablespoon in and then put it in a pot, put the yarn in, and bring it up to just boiling, like the bubbles are starting, and then take it off, let it cool. And you can just experiment on, like, if you put 1 little scoop in, that'll give you 1 color. If you put 2 scoops in, that'll give you a little bit darker color. If you put 3 scoops in, that'll be like, you can just kind of experiment with saturation and what colors you like. You can experiment with like mixing 1 scoop of this color with 1 scoop of this color, or 3 scoops of this color with 1 scoop of this color, like all those different things. It's really, really fun. So hopefully that's as much information as you need. You are going to have to wash if you're using vinegar. The other option for acid is citric acid, which is, it looks sort of like salt. It's like a white thing. I don't know. It's a lot harder to source though, so vinegar is widely accessible, just regular white vinegar. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a DM or an email or whatever. And yeah, have fun experimenting. If you want to try speckling, there's lots of dye videos on YouTube. You can watch lots and lots of dye, like Chemknits, I think, has lots and lots and lots and lots of dyeing videos. I can't think of, like, Hugh Loco has some from a long time ago. She's speckling in a pot in hers, which I probably wouldn't do. If you want to try speckling, I would recommend getting one of those like big silver trays that they use for like serving at banquets and stuff. Get one of those, and then you can lay out your yarn and speckle it, because if you have it in a pot that's all submerged, then those speckles just kind of dissipate through the water and you're not going to have like nice crisp speckles if that's what you're looking for. Anyway, thank you, Jeanette, for your question. I hope that helped, and like I said, let me know if you have any questions. My lovely friend, my sister from another mister, Nicole from Prof Pearl, asked me, what are your spring knitting plans? And to her, I say, yeah, I don't know, because I don't plan ahead of time. Basically, my spring knitting plans are whatever I'm working on now, because I don't know what my next thing is going to be until I start making it. But I can confidently say that I will be working on this blanket for most of the spring. We don't have any of the October, November, December colors dyed yet, so that will probably be my only obstacle how do I word that correctly grammatically? I don't know. That will be the only thing keeping me from finishing this yarn by the end of the summer. This blanket from the end of the summer. Julie asked me, do you have a craft room in the house? I'm assuming you're asking about my new house, because you've watched my podcast before and you know that this is my craft room. But to answer your question, I absolutely do have a craft room in the new house, and it is beautiful. I'm very excited to get it up and running. I'm gonna put a picture up here of what it looks like right now. We're gonna be losing the plaid curtains and the plaid chairs, etc. The lovely seller is going to leave me the big shelving unit that's on the wall. I'm going to paint it white, and that's going to be my yarn collection, etc. There's no closet in there, which is a little bit stressing me out, but there's lots and lots of shelves in that unit, so I will figure out some sort of storage system, I'm sure. But it has this big, beautiful window. There's going to be lots of awesome natural light, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited about that. Oh, my friend Nicole, my sister from another mister, asked me another question. She asked, have you knit with Surrey, and how does it compare to your love of mohair? This is my first time actually knitting. No, that's a lie. I made a hat that I showed in my last episode that was some wool folk held together with Surrey, and that was lovely. This is my first time making a sweater with Surrey, and yeah, 10 out of 10. Love it. It's definitely different from mohair. Like the fibers aren't as long. I'd say it's, I always think the word furry. It's not furry, but it's thicker, and it's not as long and wispy as mohair, but it's so soft. It's softer than mohair for sure. The only downside to Surrey is that the skeins have significantly less yardage than mohair. For that reason, because it's thicker, so it weighs the same amount, the same weight is less yardage, if that makes sense. So I can usually get a sweater out of 2 skeins of fingering and 2 skeins of mohair, because the yardage is almost exactly the same. But for this sweater, I had to buy 3 skeins of the Surrey because the yardage is different. So that's the only downfall, is that you have to buy more Surrey than you do mohair, but that's the only downside. It is beautiful, and I will absolutely be making more things with it. And my last question was from my friend Jenny, who comes to my knit night sometimes. Sometimes she's busy working and teaching other people to knit and stuff. So rude. Hi Jenny, I love you. Jenny is the kindest, sweetest, nicest. I love Jenny. Jenny asked, how are your hands and your health? So I did give a little update on that before. Oh yeah, you may notice that I'm wearing my wedding rings on my necklace because my joint is just too damaged and swollen to wear my wedding rings anymore, which really makes me very sad. I don't wear my engagement ring on here because that would be nuts. That one is the way most expensive one out of all of them. This is my wedding band and my anniversary band. I got my anniversary band on our 10-year wedding anniversary. But yeah, I actually just ordered an Enzo silicone ring because they can stretch over my joint and then I still have a ring. Like, it makes me really, really sad not to wear my rings. I absolutely love my rings. So I'm just waiting to see after I get into my rheumatologist appointment, if once I get on to medication, maybe he'll give me another steroid stress dose once I get in there, because they're getting pretty bad already and that's not for another 2 months. I'm hoping that maybe my fingers can go back to normal and then be sort of sustained with medication, and then maybe hopefully get my rings back on or just resize them if the joint isn't going to go back to normal. I don't know. But in the meantime, I ordered myself one of those silicone ones so that I have something on my finger, because my husband wears his religiously. He never takes it off, and I really want to be wearing mine, and I can't. So anyway, thank you, Jenny, for asking. I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer about this because, yes, it sucks in the mornings. I have a lot of trouble doing things in the mornings. I drop things a lot in the mornings because I can't grip them and hold on to them. But it does, I mean, they still hurt like all day. This hurts doing this. But a lot of people have things a lot worse than I do, so I'm trying to look at it positively. I can still knit. I can still do lots of stuff, so that's good. Anyway, thank you for asking, Jenny. That's very nice of you. And I think that is all I had to talk about today. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to share my podcast far and wide so that anyone who enjoys swear words and progressive liberal thinking and lots of yarn and knitting can join us. Thank you for joining me today. Please hit like and subscribe and tell your friends, and thank you for being here, and I will see you next time, hopefully with a bit of a tan because I'm going to Colombia. Okay, adios.